Good day, and welcome once again to this channel, Understanding Systemic Police Corruption. My name is Samuel Clark, and today's discussion is, who should I vote for? Who should I vote for? I believe that you should vote for whoever, the candidate who has a history of supporting your interest and the interests of people that are positioned such as you are. So if you're a worker, working paycheck to paycheck, you want a candidate with a proven history of working for your best interest. However, it's your vote, and I believe that each person owns their own vote. No one else owns their vote. They do. And they should decide what candidate gets their vote based on that candidate's history of working for their interest. Or they have a right to decide not to use their vote at all. Now, before we get into this, please share. Definitely share. Like and subscribe. And I'm appealing to you for help. I need help in understanding how anyone can vote for a candidate that has already expressed their position to say that they're not going to do anything specifically for Black people. So somebody help me understand. Fear of the other candidate? A lesser of two evils still gives you evil. But perhaps we can better understand and better appreciate if we go back in history. And one of the things that I always say here is, don't take the word of some talking head like me. Do your own research that empowers you. And if you do the research, you'll see that what I'm saying makes all the sense in the world. So you empower yourself, do your research. So if you're going to research what I'm saying, which is what you should do, you should have that same standard to the major corporate news media that by and large are just giving you distorted information, to say the least. Now, let's go back to Frederick Douglass. And he said, "Power concedes nothing without a demand. Never has and never will." That's the end of his quote. Now, this was said over 129 years ago. 129 years ago. Has anything changed? As he said, never has and never will. So what are Black people demanding from the Democratic presidential candidate? From what I can see, they're demanding nothing at all. Nothing. So how do you expect to get something when you demand nothing? And you just heard the quote from Frederick Douglass. It's true today as it was when he made it. Now, former Secretary of Commerce Henry Wallace said, "The American people need more than a choice of evils." Here it is.
The American people must have more than a choice between evils. To that end, I announce that I will run as an independent candidate in 1948 for President of the United States.
Now, he said that more than 76 years ago. More than 76 years ago, he said this, and ran as an independent candidate. He was stabbed in the back, basically, by the Democratic Party, who believed he was too progressive. And even though the delegates wanted him, they replaced him with Harry Truman. Lesser of two evils is evil. Now let's listen to some excerpts from a speech from Malcolm X.
You're the one who has that power. You can keep Johnson in Washington, D.C., or you can send him back to his Texas cotton patch. You're the one who sent Kennedy to Washington. You're the one who put the present Democratic administration in Washington, D.C. The whites were evenly divided. It was the fact that you threw 80% of your votes behind the Democrats that put the Democrats in the White House. When you see this, you can see that the Negro vote is the key factor. And despite the fact that you are in a position to be the determining factor, what do you get out of it? The Democrats have been in Washington, D.C. only because of the Negro vote. They've been down there 4 years. And all other legislation they wanted to bring up, they've brought it up and gotten it out of the way, and now they bring up you. And now they bring up you. You put them first, and they put you last. Because you're a chump. A political chump. In Washington, D.C., in the House of Representatives, there are 257 who are Democrats. Only 177 are Republicans. In the Senate, there are 67 Democrats. Only 33 are Republicans. The party that you backed controls 2/3 of the House of Representatives and the Senate, and still they can't keep their promise to you because you're a chump. Anytime you throw your weight behind a political party that controls 2/3 of the government, and that party can't keep the promise that it made to you during election time, and you're dumb enough to walk around continuing to identify yourself with that party, you're not only a chump, but you're a traitor to your race. And what kind of alibi do they come up with? They try and pass the buck to the Dixiecrats. Now, back during the days when you were blind, deaf, and dumb, ignorant, politically immature, naturally you went along with that. But today, as your eyes come open and you develop political maturity, you're able to see and think for yourself. And you can see that a Dixiecrat is nothing but a Democrat in disguise. You today are in the hands of a government of segregationists, racists, white supremacists, who belong to the Democratic Party but disguise themselves as Dixiecrats. A Dixiecrat is nothing but a Democrat. Whoever runs the Democrats is also the father of the Dixiecrats. And the father of all of them is sitting in the White House. I say, and I say it again, you got a president who's nothing but a Southern segregationist. And the first thing the tracker does when he comes in power, he takes all the Negro leaders and invites them for coffee to show that he's all right. And those Uncle Toms can't pass up the coffee. They come away from the coffee table telling you and me that this man is all right because he's from the South. And since he's from the South, he can deal with the South. And look at the logic that they're using. Oh, I say, you've been misled. You've been had. You've been took. These Northern Democrats are in cahoots with the Southern Democrats. They're playing a giant con game, a political con game. You know how it goes. One of them comes to you and make believe he's for you. And he's in cahoots with the other one that's not for you. Why? Because neither one of them is for you. But they got to make you go with one of them or the other. So this is a con game. And this is what they've been doing with you and me all these years. Whenever the Negroes keep the Democrats in power, they're keeping the Dixiecrats in power. This is true. A vote for a Democrat is nothing but a vote for a Dixiecrat. I know you don't like me saying that, but I'm not the kind of person who come here to say what you like. I'm going to tell you the truth whether you like it or not. Up here in the North, you have the same thing. The Democratic Party don't do it. They don't do it that way. They got a thing that they call gerrymandering. They maneuver you out of power. Even though you can vote, they fix it so you're voting for nobody. They got you going and coming. In the South, they're outright political wolves. In the North, they're political foxes. A fox and a wolf are both canine. Both belong to the dog family. Now, you take your choice. You're going to choose a northern dog or a southern dog. Because either dog you choose, I guarantee you'll still be in the doghouse. This is why I say it's the ballot or the bullet. It's liberty or it's death. It's freedom for everybody or freedom for nobody. You don't have a revolution in which you love your enemy. And you don't have a revolution in which you're begging the system of exploitation to integrate you into it. Revolutions overturn systems. Revolutions destroy systems. But America is in a unique position. She's the only country in history in a position actually to become involved in a bloodless revolution. The Russian Revolution was bloody. Chinese Revolution was bloody. French Revolution was bloody. Cuban Revolution was bloody. And there was nothing more bloody than the American Revolution. But today, this country can become involved in a revolution that won't take bloodshed. All she's got to do is give the black man in this country everything that's doing. Everything.
Now, that speech was made by Malcolm X almost 60 years ago. And I'll say it again for emphasis, almost 60 years ago. His speech was not in support of the Republican Party. His criticism of the Democratic Party was not a support for the Republican Party. He called you political chumps. How do you support something that doesn't support you? Refuses, have all the opportunity to do so, but refuses to do so. But you support that. Are we still political chumps? Are we still children? Can you behave that way and expect respect? I don't think so. So somebody put in the comments and explain to me this phenomenon, how this works. Is this the post-traumatic slave syndrome that Dr. Joy DeGruy has written and spoken about so many times? Is this Stockholm syndrome? Is it something in the water? Mass hypnosis? Somebody explain to me. Now, people it's their choice. They want to vote for someone who doesn't support their interests, who is not going to do anything specific for them. If they want to do that, it's their vote to do. But I just like to know why, when there are other candidates. There are other candidates such as Dr. Cornel West, Dr. Jill Stein, and others. So explain to me. I'm a person who does not support the two parties because they both ran by the billionaire class, and the billionaire class does not work in my interest. They work against my interest and the interest of people that are situated like I am. So I don't vote that way. That's me. And I can explain it in detail. But I'd like to know, as you heard what Malcolm X said, you continue to do this, you're a political chump. You get nothing. You heard what Frederick Douglass' quote. Where's the demand? We're acting like children. The candidate does not support and won't do anything specific for Black people, but will do things specifically for foreign governments, such as Ukraine and the state of Israel. Black people are not in the equation. And by the way, the Ukrainians have joined with some terrorists in Africa and have killed African people and is trying to disrupt and destabilize. So if you're doing that to Africa, you'll do the same to me. And that's how many of the inner city neighborhoods are destabilized, because this system is experts at destabilization. Is that what you want to support? Because you're afraid of the other guy? Come on, let's stop being children. So just to wrap up, are we going to listen to what Frederick Douglass said and what Malcolm X said? Or are we going to listen to comedians and sportscasters and perhaps people looking to have donations to their foundation? We're going to listen to them over Malcolm X, who gave everything. And this was almost 60 years ago. Have we not learned? Or are we still going to be children? And I can predict, and anyone that did any or does any research can predict, because it's right there. History proves it. I'm going to predict, if the Democratic candidate wins, Black people are not going to get anything, because that's the plan. That is the plan. And it's already been, the words came right out of the person's mouth. That's not good enough for you? So don't get involved in emotional hype. That's great. You have a convention to appeal to me as a Black person, and you got dancers shaking their booties. Oh, that's great. If that's what I'm going out for a night for, I want to hear substance. I want to hear your plan to uplift us, not with a song, but with solid policies. You're supporting a foreign country over the people who you've never compensated for centuries of slavery and Jim Crow. Never been compensated. But somebody else has more priority than you, or more important. So they're screaming at you. And as Malcolm said, they're screaming at you, telling you you mean nothing. They expect you to support them and support for something that's going to harm you. Frederick Douglass, Malcolm X, Henry Wallace, many others. And we're still going for the con game under the circumstances. Good luck and stay safe.